ගම්බැද්ද කඩිනම් ව්‍යාපෘති මාලාවෙන් සිදු කළ ව්‍යාපෘති වලින් කිහිපයක්.
ගෙහියෝ විට පාලම විවෘත කිරීම. පෙරදින ශික්ෂණ රෝහලේ වාට්ටුවක් පිළිසකර කිරීම. මහා කරඹෑව පානීය ජල ව්‍යාපෘතිය විවෘත කිරීම. මයංගනය පාලමක් විවෘත කිරීම. පළුපිටිය පානීය ජල ව්‍යාපෘතිය විවෘත කිරීම.
ගම්මැද්ද රට නගන ජන පෞර
A very good evening and welcome. This is News First Primetime News. Today is the 28th of August 2023. For the News First team, I am Jayama Ratnayaka.
And I'm Mariam Gunavijaya. Before we head on to our stories in detail, here's a look at your top stories for tonight.
Trade unions stage joint protest in Colombo against including superannuation funds in the domestic debt optimization program. Reissuance of bonds under the domestic debt optimization program postponed. Death of a patient at the National Hospital after being administered the co-amoxiclav antibiotic. Was the cause of death an allergic reaction? Tense situation arises during the Kadawat Satara Development Committee meeting in Tricomali over suspending the construction of a temple. Investigation into the Easter Sunday attacks 99% complete, says Minister of Public Security.
On to your lead story, the joint trade unions engaged in a protest in Colombo today under the theme Stop Looting the EPF and ETF.
Although the protesters attempted to engage in a protest march, the police prevented it, claiming that a court order had been issued against it.
The joint trade unions gathered opposite the Colombo Fort Railway Station and commenced the protest. They also demanded that superannuation funds, including the EPF and the ETF, be excluded from the domestic debt optimization program.
The government is attempting to loot 135 billion rupees only in this year while utilizing these funds. A total of 3.78 trillion rupees will be looted by the year 2038. If the government doesn't withdraw these plans, this Aragala will only conclude after sending Ranil Wickremesinghe and the government home. We are clearly mentioning that.
Ranil Wickremesinghe ඇතුළුව ගෙදර යවලා තමයි මේ අරගලය අවසන් වෙන්නේ කියන එක අපි පැහැදිලිව කියනවා. මේ රටේ මහ ජනතාවගේ මුදල් මංකොල්ල කෑමේ
These decisions are not taken by a team that was appointed through the people's mandate. This team is not legitimate to be in parliament. Looting of innocent people's funds must be stopped immediately, or else we clearly state that we will work towards sending the government home.
Ranil Rajapaksaගේ පාණ්ඩු ආණ්ඩුව උන් ගහපු ගේම් වල උන්ගේ සුපිරි ජීවිතවල උන් ගනිපු ආතල් වල වන්දිය අහිංසක කම්කරුවගේ කරපිට පටවන්න ලෑස්ති වෙනවා. රනිල් රාජපක්ෂගේ පාණ්ඩු ආණ්ඩුවට අපි කියනවා වහම මේ යෝජනාව අකුල ගනින්න. මේ කම්කරුවොත් එක්ක සෙල්ලම් කරන්න ලෑස්ති වෙන්න එපා.
අද දවසේ කොටුව දුම්රිය පොළ ඉදිරිපිටට කම්කරු ව්‍යාපාරය
The labour movements opposite the Fort Railway Station is demanding the government to carry out domestic debt optimization without affecting the superannuation funds, and if the government doesn't do so, all of the people will join hands with the trade unions and take to the streets against the government.
පාලකයන්ට විරුද්ධව මේ රටේ මේ අහිතකර නීති වලට විරුද්ධව පාරට බහින්න ලෑස්ති කියන පණිවිඩය තමයි අද කොළඹ කොටුවේ ඉඳන් මේ මොහොතේ දෙන්නේ.
The police obstructed the joint trade unions when they attempted to march from the Fort Railway Station towards the Central Bank. police presented the court order thereafter.
අපරාධ අධිවිධාන සංග්‍රහ පනතේ නමවන පරිච්ඡේදයේ ප්‍රතිවිධාන පරිදි හා විශේෂයෙන්ම අපරාධ අධිවිධාන සංග්‍රහයේ 106 එක වගන්තියේ ප්‍රතිපාදන ප්‍රකාරව ආඥාවක් මෙයින් නිකුත් කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මගේ EPS පොලේ. මේ කියන්නේ මගේ EPS පොලේ. මේකෙන් දසා ගන්නවා නම් මට මේකට විරෝධය දක්වන්න අයිතියක් නැත්තම් කාටද පුළුවන්? අහලා ගන්න එපා. අපි නඩු
Continue your protest. There is no problem with that. But you can't march from here because there is a court order. The police was not notified of a march. I am ordering you to disperse under section 95/1. That is the court order, and the other thing is that there is an intelligence report saying that you will be surrounding the central bank and vandalizing the presidential secretariat.
Although a discussion with a representative of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka was offered to 5 representatives of the joint trade union, they didn't agree to it. The group dispersed once a meeting with the central bank governor and the secretary to the president was promised to 20 trade union representatives on a future date.
Higher officials of the police intervened and gave a clear decision. We have spoken to the chief officers of the central bank, and the governor of the central bank has agreed that we needed a discussion with 20 representatives of the trade unions. Till then, the matter concerning superannuation funds must be halted.
State Ministry of Finance Shehan Singh announced the reissuance of bonds purchased by superannuation funds as part of the domestic debt optimization program, which was supposed to be carried out today, has been postponed to the 11th of September. During a special announcement on the 29th of June, the governor of the central bank presented 2 proposals in relation to optimizing treasury bonds purchased by the superannuation funds. One such proposal was retrieving all existing treasury bonds from these funds and issuing new bonds in return. The new bonds will earn 12% interest until 2025 and 9% thereafter. The other proposal was to impose a 30% tax on funds that choose not to participate in the aforementioned process. Reissuance of bonds based on the decisions made by the funds was to be carried out today. However, State Ministry of Finance Shehan Singh revealed earlier today, since a case is being heard at the Supreme Court over the amendments to the Inland Revenue Act, the reissuance of bonds will be postponed to the 11th of September until the Supreme Court's verdict is announced. A petition was filed at the Supreme Court by Chaturanga Besinghe as a civilian, the Young Lawyers Association and the United Labour Association, claiming that a bill to amend the Inland Revenue Act to include provisions to impose a 30% tax on superannuation funds that do not agree to the reissuance of bonds was in a contravention to the Constitution. The examination of the petition at the Supreme Court concluded today. The petitioned argued that the domestic debt optimization program has not considered superannuation funds and government securities in a similar light, claiming that it is a violation of the Constitution. The petitioners pleaded that a referendum must be held to approve the bill.
President's Counsel Sumandiran clearly pointed out to the court that restructuring superannuation funds alone is a violation of 12/1 of the Constitution and goes against Article 3 and 4.
සපුරා පටහැනී කියලා. ආණ්ඩුව මේ ක්‍රියාවලිය කරන්න අවශ්‍ය කරන තීරණය දෙන්නේ මහා බැංකුව.
The central bank provides the decision for the government to carry out this process. When the fundamental rights petition was being examined, the governor of the central bank said they cannot make a decision regarding debt restructuring until taxes are increased. Once that bill came into Parliament, we moved to court pleading for an order saying that it infringes the rights of the people and that it is against the legal structure of the country. This bill violates the constitution. Therefore, such an unjust law must only be passed through a two-thirds majority in Parliament as well as a referendum.
පාර්ලිමේන්තු වරමක් හා ජනමත විචාරයක් සහිතව තමයි මේ වගේ අයුක්තිසහගත දෙයක් කළ යුත්තේ.
The decision of the three-judge bench regarding the examination of the petition will be conveyed to the Parliament. Meanwhile, representatives of the IMF will arrive in Sri Lanka on the 15th of September to conduct the first periodic review in order to release the second tranche of funds under the extended fund facility.
In the meantime, a heated situation arose during the Trincomalee District Development Committee meeting today when several bhikkhus stormed in urging the authorities to revoke the existing order given by the Divisional Secretariat to hold the construction activities of the Borulukanda Rajamahaviharaya.
Organisation to protect Gokana archaeological sites tried to enter the Trincomalee Divisional Secretariat and the police obstructed their way.
අපි ගහගන්න යන්නේ අපිට දිසාපැතුමත් එක ගහගන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ ඒකටවත් ඔබතුමාලා අවනත වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් මම පාරේ ඉඳ ගන්නවා මහත්තයා අපි හරි පොලිසියට විරුද්ධව පාරේ ඉඳ
The bhikkhus then held a demonstration obstructing the Kandy Trincomalee main road.
මේවා යන්නේ කොහමද ගේට්ටුව වහලා තියෙන්නේ මොකද්ද ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ රාජකාරිය අපි කී දිසාපැතුමා මේ කමරන්න නෙමෙයි ඕකේ ඉන්නේ කවුද ඇමති කවුද ඔකේ ඉන්නේ ඇමති මේකේ ඉන්නේ ඒකේ ගාඩ් එකක් තියෙනවනේ මහත්තයා මොන සිවිල්ද
Then the bhikkhus were given an opportunity to meet the district secretariat. The governor of the Eastern Province, Sendil Thondaman, also arrived at the location to attend the Kadawat Satara Development Committee meeting.
They had a meeting here about halting the construction activities in the Borulukanda Viharaya. Divisional Secretariat has allowed it first, but then has ordered to stop it. We inquired into it and resolved the issue. Now they have the permission to carry on the construction activities.
කිසිම දනක විහෙර විහාර නවත්තන්න කියලා ජනාධිපතිතුමා තීන්දුවක් දීලා නැහැ. සංවිධාවට බාධාවක් වෙනවා නම් ඒව తాවකාලිකව අත්හිටවන්න කියලා විතරයි තියෙන්නේ.
මේ තිරුකුණාමලේ ලියාපදිංචි පන්සල හදන්න කියන්නේ.
The bhikkhus then demanded for a written authorization to continue the construction. The group then stormed into the development committee meeting room.
මොන DCCද මේවා? යකෝ අපේ පන්සල හදාගන්න අපිට ඉන්න නොදී. මගුල් DC. කරුණාකරලා අනුමැතිය දෙන්න එච්චරයි. ජනාධිපති ගාව ගන්න එපා මේ මගුල් වල.
The development committee meeting was then adjourned. A discussion took place afterwards and Venerable Mahathirulvava Uparatana Thera said permission was granted to him to continue the construction.
We want permission to construct our temple. You cannot have any DCC meeting until then. Do not involve the president for this.
This was the response of the Eastern Province Governor.
This morning I asked the Venerable Thero to give me some time to discuss about this issue with the government agent and the Divisional Secretariat. Then a settlement was proposed by the GA. This was proposed in order to help these monks, but then these monks stormed into the DCC meeting and interrupted the meeting. At the end, we had to adjourn the meeting. I think this is a very bad example.
DCC ඇතුළ කඩන් ලැබිලා ඇතුළ වාඩිලා DCC නතර කරලා ඒක මට හිතන විදිහේ මේ ඒක වැරදි example කියලා මම බලනවා.
Meanwhile, Venerable Balangoda Kassapathera, an activist in the non-partisan people's struggle, also came to the Prime Minister's office this morning and handed over a memorandum about the events in Trincomalee.
අපි දැක්කා
We saw a tense situation in the Borolukanda Rajamaha Viharaya. Our Sambandhan, who is a member of parliament, had called the divisional secretary and informed him to stop the construction work of the Borolukanda Rajamaha Viharaya. The divisional secretary had informed the head priest of the temple regarding this matter through a notice. Our Sambandhan cannot exercise executive powers. The Prime Minister was not present, but we handed over a letter to the minister's additional secretary D. Nanayakkara.
Further, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who participated in the Trincomalee District Development Committee meeting last Thursday, said that an agreement has been reached between Sri Lanka and India regarding the development of Trincomalee according to the plan of Subana Jurong Company. According to the announcement issued by the Presidential Media Division on the President's speech, quote,
"We need to carry forward these activities by solving land problems in particular. Special attention should be given to the Mahaveli lands and the best way to develop them. Also, in the implementation of the Trincomalee Development Plan, it is planned to acquire the land available according to the 1985 plan implemented under the Mahaveli scheme. But it seems that some lands in the eastern province have been gazetted without the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers. Surveys have revealed that more lands have been given to various religious places. Therefore, competitively building religious places should stop. In this regard, it is very important to consult with the religious leaders, governors, political leaders of the provinces and the government officials and reach a correct decision."
End quote.
Parliamentarian Rohita Begunawardena says the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna will re-establish their parliamentary powers. He expressed these remarks while addressing a Balamandala meeting held in Bandaragama.
The event commenced with the participation of Namal Rajapaksa.
Namal Rajapaksa, I remember with great respect that the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna formed a government that fulfilled the responsibility it assumed when it fell in 2015, and then in 2024 the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna will form a strong government again. Sometimes in that government, Namal Rajapaksa may be able to bear a higher office. That is my hope and wish. We experienced everything. We have been shamed before. It was the same when my father was in power in 2005. Today I am also being shamed. But on our platform, there is no need to shame anyone. We have programs to protect the local farmer, worker and businessmen in this country. In the past few days, when the Indians reached the moon, there was talk about our rocket involving my brother. That was a private investment. If there are government funds involved, the parliament can call a COPE hearing. We believe that the more pressing issue should not be who the next common candidate is going to be, but how we plan on overcoming the prevailing crisis in the country. Therefore, my dear friends, President Ranil Wickremesinghe will hold elections when he sees fit.
Former Minister Mervyn Silva made a few revelations during a press conference earlier today.
Now everyone is talking about the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and keeping Namal Rajapaksa on a pedestal. I am somebody who brought the Rajapaksas into power from the Beliatta electorate. But what did they do to me? They tried to do the same thing they did to Tajuddin, to my son. The only reason my son is safe today is because he knew how to take care of himself. This is a revelation I am making for the first time. I have no interest in going to the Rupavahini Corporation. Those Rajapaksa people sent me to the Rupavahini Corporation, but I did no harm to those people. They sent me like this and gave orders to attack me.
We now cross over for a short commercial break.
Stay with News First. We will be right back.
Ladies College presents a musical phenomenon, SOSL Pops, a performance by the Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka, conducted by Nishanta Varnakulasurya, September 2nd and 3rd at the Ladies College Hall, featuring the Ladies College Senior and OGA choirs, with guest soloists Crisanta De Silva, Dinushka Jayavikrama, and Melanie Bibile. Tickets available in the school hall foyer. Media sponsor Yes 101, Legends 966 and TV1.
Welcome back to the news. On to a story that made it your headlines tonight. The Ministry of Health says that the cause of death of a person who died at the National Hospital in Colombo after being administered the antibiotic co-amoxiclav is suspected to be an allergic reaction.
Now, Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. G. Vijay Surya, says that the exact cause of the death has not been revealed yet.
Sugat Silva, a resident of Varakapola, was admitted to the Varakapola base hospital with a cut wound. On the 25th of August, he had been transferred to the National Hospital in Colombo. He had died while the antibiotic co-amoxiclav was being administered to him subsequent to his admission to the National Hospital. Sugat Silva, a father of 4, was cremated at the Udammita Public Cemetery in Jayala today.
The patient had been administered the antibiotic as a medicine to be given prior to surgery in order to prevent poisoning. The patient had died when the antibiotic was being injected. The post-mortem examination was conducted yesterday. The observation and the conclusions of the JMO is not properly stated. He has said that it seems to be an allergic reaction, but for further investigations, the tissue sample has been sent to the medical laboratory in order to be tested. Once we receive the results, it will be possible to confirm whether it was due to an allergic reaction or not. We hope to send these samples abroad to somehow conduct these tests.
Minister Kelly Rambukwella mentioned on Sunday that there were about 21,000 doses of the antibiotic co-amoxiclav and that around 18,000 of those have been used. The minister said that this situation was reported only in relation to one batch of these vaccines within the larger stock. However, the press release issued by the NMRA on the 8th shows that 3 deaths and severe allergic conditions occurred after the admission of these drugs. The press release states that the same conditions and deaths were reported from the Nikavarattiya Base Hospital, Ragama Teaching Hospital, Karavanella Hospital, Vatupitivala Hospital and Gampaha District Hospital. Speaking to News First, the NMRA said that they have notified to withdraw 3 batches of the co-amoxiclav drug from use. The director of the Medical Supply Division of the Ministry of Health has also stated in a circular issued on the 15th that batches of this drug should be subject to lab tests and quality inspections before being distributed to the hospital system. Last June, the Risk Assessment Committee recommended that the components be tested by a lab that comprises with the standards of the World Health Organization, but the NMRA has not yet received a report in this regard.
Has the NMRA followed the said process on the 8th of August and obtained such samples? The process decided by the NMRA itself has been stopped. Under whose order was it stopped? If it was stopped, who would be enjoying the results of it? No matter what we say, there is no point if the NMRA does not change and if the decisions taken regarding the NMRA do not change. Why did the NMRA not send this to a WHO laboratory?
In the meantime, the manufacturer of the drug in question has issued a statement claiming that it will support any quality inspection conducted by the NMRA. It claims that its products are manufactured in accordance with international standards. The manufacturer points out that according to global data, 2 or 4 in 10,000 may suffer severe complications when administering this type of drug. It adds the same ratio concerning the drug it manufactures is 0.05 in 10,000.
Minister of Public Security Tiran Alas attended a media briefing held at the Presidential Media Centre earlier today.
Remarks were also expressed on the investigations into Easter Sunday attacks.
Police has informed that 99% of the investigations into the Easter Sunday attacks is completed by now. But then there are allegations from the Catholic community that this investigation is not being conducted properly. They allege that we failed to give any report on these investigations. Because of these allegations, I discussed this with the President and we decided to provide a report on the investigation to the Holy Catholic Church. Before giving this report, I requested the Holy Catholic Church for an opportunity to the police to present and explain this report to them. We wanted to present to them the events that took place before the attack and on what happened after that until now. I also asked the Holy Catholic Church to appoint a representative from their end to sit with us and discuss this report. This will give them the opportunity to point out the shortcomings of the investigation. I wanted everyone to come together and end this, or else we will have to drag this on for years. But unfortunately, there is still no response to my offer. Some groups who have their own agendas want to drag this further. If they really want to know who did this and to unfold the truth behind these attacks, they must sit with the police and look into this report.
පොලිසියත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා මේ මුළු ඉන්වෙස්ටිගේෂන් එක දිහාම බලන්න ඕනේ.
ඔබතුමා හිතනවාද මේ කියනවා පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරය ඇතුලේ මහමොලකාරයෙක් සිටියා මේක ඇතුලේ එළිදරව් නොවුණු දෙයක් තිබ්බා කියලා.
මට දැනට නම් එහෙම
Up until now, I haven't seen anything as such, but this is the very reason I asked the Holy Catholic Church to sit with us and discuss. It was the cardinal from the Catholic community that raised concerns of a mastermind behind these attacks. Then afterwards, former Attorney General, few hours before his retirement, also said the same thing. When we inquired about this from him, he avoided our queries. Then he went to courts against it and obtained a stay order. If there is something like that, he should be able to come and show how he figured it out as the Attorney General when he was perusing the investigation reports. But that did not happen. When the former Attorney General avoided our queries about the mastermind, the Cardinal has also stopped talking about it. This is why you should do a proper investigation without listening to what others have to say. This is the very reason I made an open invitation to the Holy Catholic Church to come and have a look at the investigation conducted by the police.
මං විවෘතව ආරාධනා කරලා තියෙන්නේ කතෝලික සභාවට මේ පොලිසිය කරපු දේ බලන්න.
Journalists also questioned the minister on the digital ID program.
ඒක මම හරියටම දන්නේ නැහැ මොකද ඒක මගේ අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් නෙමෙයි කරන්නේ. ඒක මේ ටෙක්නොලොජි
I am not very well aware about it. It is not a subject under my ministerial portfolio. It is handled by the Ministry of Technology. We will only handle it during the final phase. But I have clearly stated my view on this program to the President. I don't think it is safe to allow a foreign country access to our data. We cannot allow that. This will allow those countries to have access to even your blood group.
ඒකට ඉඩ දෙන්න බෑ. ඔබතුමාලාගේ blood group එකේ හිටන් ඕන එක්කෙනෙකුට බලා ගන්න පුළුවන් ඊට පස්සේ.
First with the people.
State Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinghe says that beneficiaries of the Aswasuma Welfare Benefit Scheme will have the opportunity to access their funds through banks starting from tomorrow.
He stated that the funds required were released to the state banks by the Treasury. The Welfare Benefit Board will transfer 5 billion rupees to the banks in order to provide the funds to 800,000 families. The funds will be sent to the banks today, so the beneficiaries cannot obtain their funds today itself. The banks will take the necessary steps to transfer the funds to the beneficiaries' accounts.
Thousands of air travelers around the world faced delays earlier today after Britain's air traffic control system was hit by a breakdown that slowed takeoffs and landings across the UK.
UK's air traffic control's computer systems faced a technical glitch hindering activities of both domestic and international airlines. Speaking to News First, the spokesperson of the Sri Lankan Airlines, Deepal Pereira, made the following remarks.
We were informed by the London Heathrow Airport authorities that there is a small technical error is happening with their landing and takeoff system. So they have resorted into manual landing process. where we were informed that the long-haul flights were given the priority to land at Heathrow Airport. So we expect there can be a delay on our return flight to Colombo due to this technical malfunction at the Heathrow Airport. So we would like to keep that informed to our passengers.
Thailand and Sri Lanka are expecting to sign a free trade agreement in early 2024.
Director General of Thailand's Trade Negotiations Department said the talks have advanced beyond the halfway point. The two parties aim for 3 more rounds of talks this year to conclude the negotiations. Both sides aim to conclude negotiations in 2023, paving the way for the trade ministers of both countries to sign the agreement early next year.
Formalities of the repatriation of Sri Lankan artifacts from the Netherlands took place at the Ministry of Buddha Sasana earlier today.
During the Dutch invasion of the Kandyan Kingdom in 1765, several artifacts of great historical importance was taken into the custody of the Dutch East India Company. In the recent past, Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs of Sri Lanka reached out to the Dutch Ministry of Education, Culture and Science on a diplomatic level regarding the repatriation of these artifacts, concluding a joint research operation done by Dutch and Sri Lankan scientists in April 2022. 6 Sri Lankan artifacts belonging to the Kandyan Kingdom were found in the Rijks Museum in Netherlands. Following the request made by the Sri Lankan government on the 6th of June 2023, the Dutch government formally announced the return of these artifacts to Sri Lanka through a Gazette announcement. The formal handover of these artifacts took place on Monday at the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, where 2 agreements were signed in this regard.
You all have taken the initiative, and this is an eye-opener for the other nations as well. All over the world, the restitution of the artifacts and what has been taken from those respective countries has been appealed by those countries again and again, but to no avail in some instances. But the Netherlands, in a very significant manner, has responded not only to Sri Lanka but also to Indonesia. During the period of occupation, the Netherlands, the Dutch people did the least damage to Sri Lanka. With this, we'll turn a new leaf of our relations and we'll move forward. Let bygones be bygones. Let's move forward.
These objects were looted 2.5 centuries ago, were taken away. And you had so many beautiful words also for the common history, about the common history. But yeah, these objects were taken away, and the committee, the Dutch Restitution Committee, the Colonial Collections Committee, together in intensively working with the Sri Lankan Committee, that did wonderful, valuable work together to do provenance research. Each object is studied. There was research about the history of the objects, the biography of these objects. So it was a close cooperation, and it was also a very nice, very beautiful, very good experience for us and also for the committee. Don't forget, this is a historic moment and we are all witnessing this moment, and I think that's good to realize.
Transference of acknowledgement and a loan agreement was signed in this historic event, which saw the participation of State Secretary for Culture and Media of the Netherlands, Honorable Gune Oslo, and the chair of the Dutch Advisory Committee on Returning of Cultural Objects from Colonial Context, Lilian Ho Kang Yu, and many more Dutch government officials.
A Pakistani court dismissed murder abetment charges against former Prime Minister Imran Khan today, providing some relief for the cricket hero turned politician who was jailed on corruption charges earlier this month.
Imran Khan had been charged in June with abetting the murder of Supreme Court lawyer Abdul Razak, who was killed in a drive-by shooting in the southwestern city of Quetta in the same month. Razak's son had accused Imran Khan of being behind his father's murder. Before his assassination, Razak had filed a court petition pleading that treason proceedings could be initiated against Khan for unconstitutionally dissolving parliament after he lost a vote of confidence in April 2022.
And that's a wrap of your news for tonight.
Thank you for stopping by. Take care and have yourself a great night.